B. Martins by name. I do want to give you general gender issues. Gender issues. Welcome to this webinar class. I'll introduce the course today, and subsequent classes will go more deeper into the things that we need to take for this webinar class. Before I proceed, the study of gender itself, or studying gender issues generally, the purpose is to understand the peculiarity of each gender, understanding that there is a particular gender is not different from another gender, that we are born and we have the same rights, we have the same opportunity, we have the same ability, we're born the same way, we're born with the same opportunities or chances for life. Let me call it chances. So we're going to be looking at different issues that surround gender fractions, and the major gender we have is we have the male and we have the female gender, and both the male gender are either a man or a boy, or the female gender is classified to be a woman or a girl. So quickly, let's take a look into what we are taking. So I said gender can be defined as a description of roles, activity, and responsibility assigned to men and women in a given society, culture, community, or time. I take it again. Gender can be defined as a description of roles, activity, and responsibility assigned to men and women in a given society, culture, community, or time. So when you're referring to gender, the impression that gender passes, or gender, when you mention gender, the effect of gender, the effect of the word gender, the intuition that it passes on individuals is that gender is gender is a description of, gives a description of roles, activity, and responsibility that has been assigned to either a man or a woman in a society. So that's the reason why you see that in most of the cases when you are to fill information or database or biodata, you see that there's a box for both male. You can select either you're a male or you're a female. So this gender study that we are taking now refers to the expectation of people from someone, because either it could be a male or a female. Men and women are expected to perform the fixed roles assigned to them by the society. It's the socially prescribed roles. That means there are socially prescribed roles and behavior expected from men and women. In this prescription, women are assumed with lower status. Now, if you look around, you realize that most of the cases, the environment or the community has positioned it, has positioned us, or the society has taught us to have more preference of separation or preference for man over woman. Society has taught us over the years that man and woman are not the same. Community, culture has taught us over the time. There are some cultures who doesn't even recognize female. There's some belief system who doesn't even want to. Once you mention female, they'll be like, what is female? So we're going to be looking into deep of gender issue. Now, before I proceed, so it is a learned process that can be changed. Environment has taught us a lot of things. The society, the culture we find ourselves, the community we find ourselves, has taught us a lot of things. So, and that's why we are made up of, the major part of our lives are made up of what we've had and what we've seen, what you hear and what you see. So before you start recognizing, in fact, a child that is birthed or that was given birth might not start to know what she begins to see, or may not understand, or may not absorb or accept what he or she begins to see. But one of the major things that's going to happen that will make you to realize that this young child or this young fellow is becoming part of the community or being gradually evolving into the community is when you start realizing that this same child has learned to call mommy, mommy, has learned to call daddy, daddy. So it was the influence of the society. It could be that before, when he wants to call his mom, he will tap his mom. But now, the mom has said it over the times for this young individual to accept, okay, mommy. And that's why you see that in some cases, even the child can be calling the daddy mommy, because that is what he or she has been told or has been educated with, that, okay, this is what is happening. So, matter is what brings about gender discrimination, gender separation, gender differences, and a whole lot of matter. A whole lot of matter. You know, some because of culture, because of religion, because of community, some people have believed that, okay, females are only, all the life of female should be in the room, bedroom, or maybe the kitchen, and which is not meant to be. So there's tendency for, as we proceed in this webinar class, more of this gender issue are peculiar to females, because studying, it has been revealed that females are the one who are the detriment of this consistent occasion of the consistent occasion of, being separated from the community, or being intimidated by the community, and so on. So decision making between couples, the reason, one of the reasons why we need to study this as a course is decision making between couples is not carried out in a gender neutral environment. Most of the cases in our community, the man just decide for the woman, and that's all, and it doesn't have anything to do with it. It doesn't have anything to change about it. Now, biological and social factors do not function separately, but there's a dynamic interaction among these factors that affect women in all aspects of life. We must understand that what makes this occasion, or this rising occasion of the females being segregated or being separated from the community, or not being reckoned with, where are the response of our biological and social factors. So I said gender issues function at household, community, and national levels, adhering in society, social, and cultural, economic, and political system. You see, in society, people doesn't believe in females. When you see that, okay, a particular female is running out, coming out to say, okay, I want to run for the post of the councillor in a particular, local government. People like, female, what does she know? Does she understand politics? So factors like these are things that we need to correct in our motives in addressing gender stability and gender equality. Then I said men are controlled, they've been controlling over the economics, politics, and reproductive life. Whereas women are expected to be submissive, obedient, respectful, and vulnerable to abusive treatment, which is not meant to be. So our study into this gender issue, our study into this gender issue is based on these factors that I'm outlining to you. Women deserves their respect. Women deserves their own place. They were created. They were human too. They possess everything that every man possesses. The only difference, and that is not a difference as it were, is the genitals are not the same. That's just the presence of the womb makes it different from each other. But every other part you want to talk about is the same. Every other part of you want to talk about is the same. They have the same ability, they have the same strength, they have the same potential. They were born, every being. There's no difference between male and female. So gender also affects even the reproductive, this gender issue that we're talking about, affects even the reproductive decision making, because women make choice within the context of their community. Gender roles, responsibilities are defined. Female is only good for is that to give birth. You start realizing that this female will start functioning nothing but giving birth alone, which means you've altered a lot of things about this female. You've not been able to share with her the possibility of doing more well than just giving birth. So every sector, many of the sectors that we have are even gender skeptical about gender, and the orientation about the gender are not that so good. So I said this division of role and expectation favor one sex and victimize the other counterpart, that's the female. Obviously, the party at the disadvantage wing the women as a result of gender-based notion and discrimination. Women have been suffering in many societies. Look around. Many women have been suffering from in different societies. Many women have been suffering in different societies. You see them being discriminated. You see them being, shouted on. You see them being molested. You see them, being taken advantage of, and which is not meant to be. I said gender issues involves a wide range of difficulties and disadvantages that emerge from cultural beliefs and expectation of masculinity and femininity. These issues influence people in a variety of ways, including education, employment, healthcare, and social connection. Like I said, gender issues is not only for females, it happens in males. But over the century, the most of the occurrence of the gender issues we've recorded over the years has been targeted towards female. So, and that's the reason why this webinar is going to be directing, an extent of it is going to be towards the female discrimination, the gender discrimination for females. Now, to the next slide. I'm trying to show you something from there. Examples of gender. This is example. Now, do you see? I didn't put only for girls there. I put both for girls and for girls and boys there. So the boys have been oriented, to have a feeling that they were brought up to achieve and nothing but to achieve. They can be encouraged and say, okay, you be a doctor, you be a politician. They'll give them, high ranking factors that, okay, you should be this, you must be this. You are not a doctor, you are not. If you don't be a military officer, you're not my son. They've been given an orientation that their primary life is going to be they should get a job. The community have taught them, job you can do to the marriage. And you can see that they have to get job before the marriage. So society has really put a structure around gender that's making it more difficult for expressive living, not only for males alone, even for females. You can see that it's said that as if the community and the society has taught the female child that they were brought up to conform to anything that happens. They've been trained by the community that they should give in to anything, as if they are victim of, as if that they are victim of everything, that they should just conform, just comply. Every time compliance, even with what that is against their will, comply. So the next thing is, the environment has taught them that if they don't know how to cook, they are not a female. The environment, the community has make it so, so that, should I say, difficult now to think outside the box and, feel like, okay, it's just food, making of food, preparation, just if you don't know how to cook, then, there was a case of, some individuals when the parents, maybe they have slight issue while cooking, and the parents the next thing that will come out from the parents is this how you are going to be cooking for your husband? Even someone that is not even a teenager, that is underage, someone at age of 10. The environment has started teaching this young lady that, you see, you don't deserve to be a woman because you don't know how to cook. And this surrounding the community, the environment has taught them to primarily see that their first agenda of life is to get married. Then after that, they get a job. And they have always been taught and be conformed by teachings, by either culture or belief system or community or by any other means, that when you marry, that she has to marry is a must. And not only to marry alone, it must bear children earlier. So when this female gender start to have a scenario whereby probably you didn't get married on time, different prayer are going to surround. Or is not giving birth on time, different problems started setting. So these highlighted issues that is peculiar to some of the females will be what we are going to be discussing this webinar, class. So for today, I told you I just introduced the course. By next class, I will be taking some other things that I need to share with you. So I don't know if you have a question, please kindly drop your question quickly so that I can attend to them. If you have a question, there's a course on this app whereby you can write down your question. Let me just take one question. I'm running into time already. Let me just have one question. One question. Can I have a question from the back end? Any question, please? Any question? Any question, please? Any question at all? Okay. So if there's no any other question, then we meet the next class for webinar. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night rest. Bye-bye.